All right, hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are back taking a look at the tropics. Tonight is Sunday, July 25th, 2021, and this is your daily tropical update. We once again are focusing on Invest 90L off the coast of Florida. A little harder to spot this evening, a system just offshore of northeast Florida in the Jacksonville area, and really has not significantly organized today. We'll have this to check on, as well as a few other areas in the Pacific Ocean. As we look across the rest of the Atlantic, though, real quick this evening, we have a pretty nice little frontal system moving offshore. Should be some cooler air filtering into the New England area this week. We do have this curious kind of upper low that's kind of rotating around the Central Caribbean and Eastern Caribbean. Not too much in the way of actual tropical development, but this could be something that comes up on the NHC's radar as it probably will slowly drift back to the west over the next couple of days, producing a big mess of showers and storms. And honestly, this looks a lot more impressive than this looks, but the little invest there is what we're actually watching here this evening. The National Hurricane Center has mapped just the area of interest off the coast of Florida tonight. No other areas being monitored for development in the next 5 days. And right now, the Hurricane Center dropped this down a little bit to about 50% chance of development through the rest of the weekend and tomorrow. So it's quickly running out of time to get itself together, as it looks like it'll now be ashore by tomorrow afternoon. A zoomed in satellite view of 90L does show this nice surface circulation. I mean, this is the center of the circulation is somewhere right up under this thunderstorm, and it's got a nice symmetric rotation to it. It's a nice little circulation, but there's just not a lot of thunderstorm activity with it. There are really only this one little thunderstorm is actually showing any kind of convection, and even a lot of this is just high clouds. You see a lot of these low clouds rotating under it, and these are just kind of shallow clouds, and there's just not a lot going on as far as any convective activity that would cause us to become a more tropical entity. The Hurricane Hunters did fly it earlier, and it was not very impressive. The central pressure 1,014 millibars, which is actually just above your standard atmosphere, which means it's not really producing low pressure. Again, nice wind field, solid, clear, defined low center, and winds around it, but really flight level winds here only in a couple pockets of winds around 30, 35 knots at flight level. So not really producing a lot of significant winds that we would maybe expect this to be, um, for the consideration of a tropical system. The explanation for this is pretty simple. It's a lot of dry air and wind shear. There's been a pretty consistent northeast wind that's becoming more of an easterly direction now as the high pressure to our north and west sort of shifts. So this high back here over Tennessee and Georgia is beginning to shift more like this. So the storm is being pushed more towards northern Florida, and a lot of dry air in the atmosphere as well. You can see a lot of these yellows in the belt here and the belt here for central Florida, keeping a lot of mid and upper level dry air over the storm, and it's just kind of choking off those thunderstorms, not really letting them develop. And without that development, once again, you can't really have a tropical system without those thunderstorms. The last chance the storm really has is diurnal max, where you have the overnight temperatures cool the atmosphere a little bit aloft, and that can induce some more upward vertical motion, some more thunderstorm activity. You could see a little bit of a burst later tonight. If it had enough of that, maybe it would still be classifiable as a tropical depression. But right now, definitely not very impressive. We can see here on the GFS mid-level moisture and relative humidity, once again, the lopsidedness of the storm, all the browns on this side of the circulation and all the greens on this side of the circulation, indicating where the more moist tropical air is and this little dry continental air feed. As we go through the next day or so, as we go into Monday afternoon, you can see the system mostly has moved ashore, but it has returned moisture over much of Florida and pushed more of that dry air out to the west towards the Gulf Coast region. And this looks like where we'll see the showers and storms return to the Sunshine State. We can see this well on the mid-level, or I'm sorry, the GFS precipitable water index, which is basically the measurement of all the air, the water in the atmosphere over a point. And you can see here over the weekend, Southeast Georgia, Northeast Florida had a lot of drier air over the area, which contributed to a pretty nice weekend with very limited rainfall. But as we go into Monday and Tuesday, you can see here how all that more tropical, deeper moisture surges, and we're talking about PWAT index value is probably closer to 1.5 to 2 inches, especially over northern Florida and southern Georgia, as we go into Monday and Tuesday, which will definitely return the showers and thunderstorms with a vengeance after a dry weekend. And that will be the big impact with 90Ls at this point. Just doesn't look like it's going to have enough time to become a tropical storm. You'll have breezy winds, especially tomorrow as the low actually rotates ashore, and you'll have those thunderstorms. Rainfall totals for the next couple of days from WPC through Wednesday morning showing, sporadic totals, but generally, 1 to 3 inches of rain. And these will be very heavy downpours in these thunderstorms. You can see South and Central Florida still kind of getting on the action as well, as that tropical moisture just sort of overruns the entire Florida peninsula. And you'll definitely see those really heavy, kind of slow-moving thunderstorm downpours. But widespread total is not going to be very high, despite the system not moving very fast. It's just not strong enough to really get going. And you can see here on the simulated radar how this might look as you see that rotation moving in North Florida, and more sporadic thunderstorms tonight and early tomorrow morning. But this is going into tomorrow afternoon. Daytime heating gets kicking, and you kind of have this more organized activity in the state of Florida, as you kind of have some sea breezes and the rotation from the low working in. You'll kind of get this sandwich effect. You'll have a nice bit of afternoon activity up and down the peninsula from Florida, or from Miami to Jacksonville, and all the points in between. So that's about it on 90L, guys. And just it's not going to have enough time, it doesn't look like. So right now, I'm not really expecting much out of this. We'll keep a watch on it tonight for any surprises, but this likely makes it ashore without a name or a designation. Let's go over to the Central Pacific Hurricane Center, where we're watching this disturbance here, about 1,300 miles east-southeast of Hawaii. It is getting better organized this evening, and although it's still a little kind of out there looking, it's still a decent storm, and we are still expecting this to kind of pick up. Satellite presentation here getting a little bit better. You can see it here on the true color visible, the center of circulation of the storm here, right about here. Some thunderstorm activity to the north and to the south. Still got some raggedness to it, and it needs to get a little bit more thunderstorm activity, but it is becoming better organized. And currently it's fighting this patch of drier air aloft. This is a drier high pressure over the Central Pacific, and these mid-level cumulus clouds indicate a much drier air mass. So the storm here, right on the edge of that, you can see actually the boundary right there where the tropical air is trying to push back against that drier air to the north. We also, when these storms approach Hawaii, do see the storms run into cooler water temperatures. Right now, the storm is right about here, and it's in the still warmer patch of 27, 23 Celsius, which is like low to mid 80s. It's enough to support a tropical cyclone and help it organize and strengthen. But you can see here there's a pretty quick drop off where the water temperatures go to 25, 24, 23, which is back into the 70s, and that typically will not support any sort of tropical cyclone formation, and likely will weaken them in most cases. And this is often what keeps Hawaii protected from tropical storms and hurricanes, just a handful of strikes and close passes within the record that we have, which is about 100 years in Hawaii. Because this patch of cooler water typically saps the storms, you have to have some weird pattern where they actually travel through the tropics and then turn at the last minute and go up into Hawaii, which that's like trying to hit a needle in a haystack. So good luck with that. But GFS does show this as a moisture surge coming ashore, so you can see here the low pressure center by tomorrow, or well, that's on Tuesday, so we got about another day. This is about how it looks tonight, and you see here this moisture surge travels across, and a little bit of moisture gets to the Hawaiian Islands. It might enhance rainfall a little bit, but it's not going to be very much. It'll be a few more passing showers, and it looks like conditions will dry out by next weekend as those drier trade winds sort of take back over. We go into the Western Pacific to wrap up tonight, guys. Still have Typhoon Infa now ashore as a tropical storm over eastern China near Shanghai. It is producing a lot of heavy rain this evening and is forecast to move pretty slow the next couple days, eventually working up towards the Korean Peninsula by the weekend, but definitely several more days of heavy rain to come for eastern China in a country that's had a lot of weather disasters this year. It's not been pretty, and this one looks like could be another significant flooding event over the next few days as typhoon or former typhoon Infa winds down as a tropical storm and a tropical depression. We also have typhoon or tropical storm Nepartak, still a struggling tropical storm. Maximum sustained winds just about 40 miles an hour this evening, and still on that course, turning more towards Japan's mainland. But right now, forecasts continue to move this further and further away from Tokyo, where the Olympics are going on, and very limited impacts now expected as Nepartak should be moving well north enough, and it won't be very strong. Looks like it's still battling some wind shear and some upper level weather systems, and just not going to be much of an impact to Tokyo. So good news for the Olympics. They should be able to carry on with a fairly limited impact on their activities. So that's what I got for you guys this evening, guys. We're still looking at a mostly quiet Atlantic as far as 90L, which should move ashore without any issues. Western Pacific is probably quieting down, I would say, as we go into this week. And the Eastern Pacific is likely where we're going to see most of our activity over the next couple days. In fact, we could probably see at least another storm form up over the next couple days where we're going to be watching this area as well. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that over the week to come, where this will be our big activity, and then probably shifting into the Atlantic as we go into August. So that's what I got for you guys today. As always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.